Being a mid-20-something, I grew up in the App Store golden age, and one of the biggest pillars of that golden age was Angry Birds. I played so much of these games it's not even funny. Angry Birds Space, Star Wars, Rio, Bad Piggies, Epic, I was all over this franchise. But since then, Rovio has continued to put out the games with Angry Birds branding that I've never played. I fell out of mobile gaming for a while, but with this channel I've been exploring some of the different games and franchises I used to be obsessed with in the mobile sphere. So in this video, I will be exploring all of the Angry Birds spin-offs that have come out over the years. Let's get started. Now, I already mentioned in a video a couple weeks ago that I absolutely love Match 3 games. There's just something about them that is so addicting to me, and Angry Birds Match 3 is no different. Immediately as I started playing, I was hooked. Honestly, there's so much care in how the IP was integrated into such a simple concept that I'm shocked. Most of the main cast is here, and although functionally, they play the same roles as any other power-up or booster from this genre, the way you activate them and the way they act just feels so cool, and I appreciate the amount of effort where effort wasn't really needed. Even doing stuff like adding pigs to fight is so cool, and I couldn't put my phone down for way too long. The side modes were also kind of fun, but not nearly as great as the main mode. I was particularly fond of the bingo mode, because it was just dumb fun. You should absolutely play this one. I had heard of this one before, but had no idea what kind of game it actually was. It's fun, but it's not really like my kind of game. The mechanics were something I felt were just a little too random for my liking, and other than the final super shot, the birds felt like they had less attention given to each bird to distinctify their identity according to their personalities. It also felt like the physics were not very consistent, so it was hard to be strategic. Beyond the gameplay, this game is pretty ugly. It takes from Angry Birds Movie 2, but all of the characters look like they either got a lobotomy or smoked so much weed that they no longer know where they are or who they are. I think one overall Angry Birds sphere, you can skip this one. This one is very akin to Match, but with a gameplay style closer to Toon Blast than Candy Crush. I really like these kinds of Match 3 games, but they aren't my preferred style. With that, I will admit I got fairly bored playing this one. The power-ups are generic and don't have anything to do with the birds' powers. The biggest positive I can say is that the art style fits the Angry Birds universe so well. It also is really nice to see the original designs again after playing so many games using the movie. I don't hate the movie's designs. I think they make really good mascots, but there's something so nostalgic about seeing the original designs again. I don't recommend this one, but that's just based on personal preference. If you like games like Toon Blast more than Candy Crush, then you'll probably be your jam. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, it's just extremely base level. I love these kinds of games. It's a shame then, that I thought that this game was incredibly boring when considering other games in the genre I've played. Like, nothing is inherently bad about it, I just don't feel like there was any challenge to the levels, and every single one felt incredibly similar. As I've been judging all of the games so far, the brand integration here was pretty thorough, if not a little uninspired. The overall art style is good, being the classic designs again, like Blast was. But overall, the birds' personalities and powers were just not there. I commend Angry Birds as a brand for keeping consistent with their characters in this way, and I just wish we got to see a little bit more in this game to bring this type of bubble shooter genre to the next level. I didn't get very far into this one without getting bored, and when it comes to mobile gaming, I feel like keeping the player's attention and getting them addicted is the most important thing. You can skip this one. I remember being excited for and immediately playing this one when it came out. I was honestly shocked to still see it on the App Store, seeing as Rovio loves to delist their old games. God, I miss Space. I'd say it still holds up. Inherently, this is such a weird concept. Two IPs that should have nothing to do with each other somehow made a somewhat enjoyable on-rail shooter. The gameplay itself here is mildly interesting, but I feel like this game integrates that benchmark that I've been talking about this whole video, brand integration. The new bird designs to make them look like Transformers characters are actually really good, way better than I would have expected. The birds' powers and personalities are also here, with their main game powers translating to the way they shoot within the level. My biggest critique here, more than anything, is the game chugs really badly. My phone is brand new, and yet if there's slightly too much happening on screen at one time, the game slows to a halt while things work themselves out. It made it hard to play the levels that way, and I'm surprised in all this time it hasn't been optimized. This for sure is my favorite game so far. The cutesy clean art style, the babyfication of the characters, and the super cute cutscenes. There's so much good in this game. Not to mention, which should be the most important part, the gameplay. Although repetitive, is interesting, and so quick moving you don't have time to notice the repetitiveness. I also love the brand integration here. All of the birds' personalities and powers are here, and part of the gameplay like I've been preaching this whole video. I think these games are at their strongest when they have the Angry Birds games that happen to be popping bubbles, and not popping bubbles games that happen to be Angry Birds. I will for sure keep playing this one, and if you haven't tried it yet, you should. I'm honestly shocked at how consistent Rovio is with their game releases. Most of these games were super fun, and even the ones that weren't were just boring at worst. But they were all well made. I also applaud them for having such strong brand with their birds that they can manage to translate their powers and traits so easily into so many different genres. I was to believe before this video that the Angry Birds brand was as good as obsolete or dead, but honestly, I'm so surprised that these games are still out there killing. What's your favorite Angry Birds game? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks for watching!